I'm just jumping on live for a couple minutes. I don't know who's going to pop on because I didn't announce it, and I'm normally not on live at this time, but had a couple extra minutes to jump on live, so I figured I would just go ahead and do it. Wasn't doing any recording right now, so figured I'd just jump on live for a few, see if anybody's on, if anyone wants to chat, if anyone wants to talk about whatever, or about narcissism, since that's normally what I talk about on my platform. Narcissism, how it's affected me, how it's affected other people. Hey y'all, good to see a couple of y'all in here. So, Kayla and Sophia went over to the neighbors to hang out for a little bit, kind of a play date kind of thing. So I had a couple minutes to kill. I'd already recorded all my drafts, so I didn't really have anything else to record. Got my Amazon package in, so I figured I'd jump on here just to be able to say hi for a few and see what was going on. So we had couples counseling this morning. It was pretty good. Nothing too crazy, all, but just dropped the announcement today. We recorded our video together, dropped the announcement today about us going live next week and everything. And so I got a couple of things from Amazon, another little tripod to be ready for that. Mine is just stuck in the honeymoon phase, love bombing phase. She gets such a high, and then as soon as the love bombing honeymoon phase is over, the heart goes away. It's so off. The new supply, they start to dopamine hit, honeymoon phase over and over again. Yeah, a lot of times they're looking for that new supply, because if they can get that new supply, that's what they're looking for. If they can get that new supply, that's where it's at. Do you have to fight the urge to turn the therapist against your wife? No, not as much now, because being self-aware and starting to work on myself, like that's been a big change, a big difference of everything going on. But it has been something in the past with other therapy sessions that I've been with that has been that way. So that's why I definitely don't recommend having people go to therapy together unless they're actually willing to work on it. What's that change in the back? What is that? Okay. It's a completely different connection. I was with a narcissist husband for 7 years, and he couldn't even tell me what he loved about me. Yeah, most of the time they can't tell what they love about you because they don't. They just love themselves, and they normally won't show love in any aspect. It's really crazy sometimes, but that's how it is. This was different. Oh, it goes sideways. Okay. Sorry, I'm setting up another tripod here. If your wife cheated once, would you leave her? Back then, yeah, 100%. So that's the double standard that a narcissist has with the people around him. Like, I can cheat on you, but if you dare betray me or cheat on me, that would have been an easy way that I would have been like, oh, I'm out, kind of a thing. Yeah, I mean, it is hard to believe that a narcissist would go to therapy unless they're actually going to do it. Like, believe it when you see it, but not until then. And they say I love him and never said they love you back. Yeah, because they'd actually have to like think and figure out like how they love the person apart from like themselves. They're very much all about themselves. How do you deal with your own narcissist thoughts and not act upon them? Lots of therapy, lots of talking through it, lots of working through a lot of different things to be able to get to the place where I don't act upon them. But it doesn't mean they're not there. It doesn't mean I don't think about them. Yes, actions have to match words. If they don't match, then it's not truth. That's just the facts of it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, like, you'll have, like, narcissistic thoughts. You have things that'll, like, pop in your head and, getting to the place of realizing, like, hey, if I if I stay in that in that mindset, in that thought process, like nothing's going to get better. I'm just going to keep on lying and doing what I've done for a while. My husband blames everything on me, calls me the narcissist. Yeah, it's typical. A narcissist will blame another person, say that they're the narcissist. Makes their life a little bit easier because the other person's on the defensive and they don't have time to actually evaluate what's actually going on. On one-on-ones, would you evaluate messages so I can understand what he's doing? We have a baby. Yeah. I evaluate whatever you want to talk about. Like if you schedule a one-on-one and send me an email ahead of time, I can take a look and see like what you're looking at, what you're going through. I had one one-on-one when they sent me like an email with like 5 different attachments. I've got a one-on-one that's coming up here in a few. Once she schedules it, that she sent me like an audio recording. I haven't listened to it yet because she hasn't also scheduled it, but sent me like an audio recording to be like, hey, like, how does this sound? You know, stuff like that. But yeah, absolutely. So anything that can help. Wonder if narcs will ever regret for their bad actions. Typically not, because they don't think they're bad actions. They don't think that they've actually done anything wrong. Right? They don't care. Remember, they don't care. My kid's mom is a narcissist, and I'm trying to get my stuff together to leave her. Yeah, and that can be hard because you don't know what's going to happen, how they're going to respond, how they're going to act, etc. All those things. Called him out and left him. That's why he hasn't hoovered. I sent a happy birthday text and text some of my friends, but that's it. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to hoover if you make sure they don't hoover, if you make sure they can't contact you or connect with you. So just be careful about that. Yeah, narcissists do act crazy a lot of times. They do act crazy. That's for sure. So I got a couple of things for Amazon. You know, gotta love Amazon this time of year. But I got a couple of things for the live coming up next week with Kayla, just so we have some stuff, and then some stuff I just threw in just to see. Hey there. But I got another stand because we're gonna try to stream it on multiple platforms. So the last live, if you were on the live last night, I had it pulled up. I had my iPod in here, and I had it pulled up where I was streaming on Instagram and then also on YouTube. And so we're gonna try to do the same thing for the live with Kayla. Trying to figure out where we're gonna set it up, so that everybody can see us, everybody can hear us, kind of a thing. So I'm looking into some microphones, some other lights, different stuff like that. But yeah. No, not all narcissists are violent. I think if narcissists truly go the entire way, like go through everything that they're feeling and thinking, they'll get to the place where they'll be violent. It's just kind of like natural in one sense. See how bright this thing is. Whoa, that was super bright. It's like creepy bright how bright that is. We're gonna move that out of the way for now. Do narcs really feel love? Do they actually mean I love you so much? No, typically they're just faking it. Typically they're not actually meaning it or saying that out of truth. They're just saying it to continue to keep you on hook, keep you on tap in one sense. Their version of love is loving themselves, and how much you love them is how much they love you. It's very transactional. Considering the break, you said we need someone who's there for us, already a new supply. Yeah, definitely some type of a new supply. He doesn't act crazy. He just always seems in control. I now know what to look for. He isn't calm. Do you ever think about how your wife feels about things, or only about how you feel and think? I'm trying to think about how she feels now, but yeah, in the past, like it was just about me. It's just about how I thought. Didn't have anything to do with her. Just me. Me, myself, and I. I mean, that's the mantra of a narcissist. It's all they're really going to look for, look at. For sure. They project. Yeah, narcissists will project. Let's see. Yeah, I think mine like updated and caught up. If you guys don't follow me on YouTube, help me out. Jump on YouTube sometime and follow me under Raw Motivations. I'm trying to build a following there a little bit. Also, people on YouTube are way meaner. YouTube and Facebook, they're like pretty nasty sometimes. Um, I've had some people like definitely like cuss me out and a bunch of stuff, but um, I feel honestly, I feel like I have a ton more support on TikTok and people on TikTok than I do on YouTube or Facebook. Like some of the people on there are just savage coming at me. It's pretty crazy. But follow me sometime on there. Ask this question on Instagram. When he was raging, he never throws things in my face, correcting. But when he's raging, he never throws things. My face, correcting. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're asking. That really confused me there. Well, I asked this question on Instagram, but when he's raging, he never throws things in my face, correcting. I'm not sure you're asking that. I'm sorry. Let me do this as well. There you go. Do you have the YouTube app to watch live? I don't know if you have to have the YouTube app or not. I'd have to search it, but I'm pretty sure you could just pull it up on like the computer and be able to do that. Is the sex with narcissists that good, or is it just manipulation? A lot of times it's manipulation, but a lot of times they can be really good at what they do. But again, their sole focus is manipulating you. What should I expect now that I've gone no contact? It really kind of depends. It might be a good thing because you've gone completely no contact, or he might obsess over you more. He might come after you. I don't really know your narcissist, so it'd be hard to know. How's being abused, specifically physically, as a child turns someone into a narcissist? It shows them to start shutting down their feelings, emotions, and to not let other people in. And as a result, they start going to the vulnerable shame side. Sorry, these comments are like popping up really quick. Yeah. Mine broke the restraining order and has an 8-week curfew over Christmas. Is he likely to get revenge? I don't know necessarily revenge, but a lot of narcissists like view restraining orders, view like stuff like that as just being, you know, a boundary that they're going to break, something that they're going to try to manipulate, get past, however you want to call it. There we go. Cool. 14 years he discarded in June. I believe he was into illegal stuff. Yeah. Possibly, yeah, for sure. My ex Dark still finds me after I blocked him and his family from everything. Will he ever stop? Um, Hopefully, but if there's a way for him to contact, he'll probably still continue to keep trying it no matter what. They're very persistent, that's for sure. They're very obsessive. That's for sure. How did my wife get past the cheating? I don't feel like I have all the answers for that. Tune in Thursday and she can talk to you about that. So Thursday evening at 8:30 p.m. So it's stuck on. Interesting. All right, well, put that over there. Good night. Testing out some stuff from Amazon. Just got a microphone, a stand, microphone, another stand, a ring light, which I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that, and then got a couple other things coming in. So hopefully have good microphones so that we'll be able to live stream it on a couple different platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Do you think narcs typically serial cheat or find another relationship with one person? Yeah, I think all narcs are cheaters. Either you don't know about it, you haven't caught it, or they're cheating on you, just putting themselves above you, and they're cheating on you with putting work above you, putting another person above you, like whatever it is. Favorite part about therapy? My therapist, she's crazy, and she helps me a ton. Even like sometimes I walk in, I'm like, I have no clue like Well, we're gonna go over and she like still finds something. It's crazy. I would be more on the covert side, covert and maybe some of the victim side, narcissist. As far as like helping her heal from the cheating, like that has to come down with like building trust, being honest. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I opened it up so if anyone's on here and wants to do guest requests, you can jump on live for a minute, ask a question, share your story, anything like that. I don't know how long I'm going to be on. Like I said, Kayla and Sophia over at the neighbors just hanging out, and I was tired of recording, so I was like, I'll just get online for a few. Do narcissists leave out evidence of cheating to make you jealous or try harder? Yes, so that would be like triangulation, or like sometimes a narcissist will tell you or show you about cheating just to make you leave. So there's someone that I did a one-on-one the other day that they they struggle with narcissism and they went out and cheated just so they could come back, tell their wife that way she would leave. They didn't have the balls to actually tell her that they didn't want the relationship. Do narcs really keep everything? Should I believe them if they said they deleted something private? Yeah, probably not. A lot of times they might keep something that way they can have a chance to be able to hoover, communicate again, come back, hold something over your head. So be really careful what you communicate or give them. Once again, if you got over 1,000 followers, like click the button, go live with me. I'd love to be able to talk to you guys face to face, answer questions, share your story. Do you find yourself in a pattern of not realizing you're actually lying, or are you more aware? I'm more aware now. I mean, a lot of my life I just lied constantly and didn't realize and didn't care. It was just more of like an automatic, like a knee jerk kind of response. Hey, from New York. Can a narc do bad things on purpose that I have to leave him? Can a narc do bad things? I mean, a lot of the stuff the narc does is on purpose. A lot of it's calculated. A lot of it's planned out, or a lot of it's like knowing, like, hey, like if I do this, this is going to happen because they want to be able to make you react. They want to be able to make it happen. We're good. Hey, but would love to hear your story sometime. We need to do it on Instagram sometime because Instagram you don't have to have a lot of followers to go live. It's a little bit nicer. Are they petty? Yeah, absolutely. Narc can be extremely petty. X just named his daughter a name we discussed for a child. Wow. Yeah, no, absolutely. Be another way to open that door or get back at someone. Covert a lot of times is more like behind the scenes. Overt is more or less your like flamboyant, like boisterous kind of person. Like you know that they're a narcissist right away. Covert, you typically don't. They tend to hide a lot more. Is it safe for kids to be around a narc? Depends on the narc, but I mean, long term, you don't want to have anybody around a narc if they're not willing to be honest, open, grow, and change. Why does he push me away then try to pull me back in when I'm moving on? Reason why he tries to pull you back in when you're moving on is so that he can tell people that he tried, because that way he can be the victim and you'll be the person that walks away. You're the person that gives up. He's the person that tried, even though he didn't try the whole time. If he tries the last second, then he can say, "Oh, I tried to have them stay, but they didn't." Told the wife about our affair and he blamed me. Do you think he'll eventually try to come back? Possibly, probably. Keep him blocked. Don't let him back. Yeah, leaving a narc after 5 months and still feeling like you want to be with them, still feeling like you want them back. So that's like a trauma bond. I actually have a trauma bond workshop coming up on the 18th where I'm trying to talk to people about the trauma bond and try to be able to help them work through breaking the bonds of a trauma bond. I mean, that's really what it is. So like I've tried to explain it before. I don't have anything like nearby, but like I've tried to explain it before. Like literally, what the narcissist is doing is over a period of time, he's creating a trauma bond, and he's taking like these ropes. So like imagine I don't have a rope here. I have a cord. So imagine he's taking this rope. Okay, there's a rope. So imagine he's taking this rope, and this rope right here is part of the trauma bond that he's building. Okay, the first one we're gonna put around you is that you're not good enough. Okay, so he takes it, puts it around you, repeats it multiple times, so you have that cord wrapped around you. Maybe you're not pretty enough. Maybe you don't love him good enough. And he's going to constantly start be taking these ropes and these ties and putting around you and like pulling this bond together. And what's happening is over a period of time, you start believing. You start believing that you aren't good enough. You start believing that there's no one else out there that's going to love you. You start believing that, this is the best it's going to be. Or if he left or if you left, you wouldn't find someone who would take you in. You wouldn't find someone who would show you love and like your kids love or whatever it might be. And all that is just lies. And it's lie after lie after lie that he puts around you and tries to hold you there and tries to manipulate you. That's what a trauma bond is. And so when I try to work with people, whether it's in the session coming up on the 18th or whether it's with the one-on-ones, like what I try to do is I try to help people get down to facts and get down to the truth to be able to say, how do we actually break through this trauma bond? I think one of the coolest ones, I don't have the notes near me. One of the coolest ones was um, one lady that I was talking to where she was really struggling with the idea of like, was it my fault? Was it my fault that he left and now he's with someone and they seem to be happy and all this kind of stuff? And she started questioning. She was like, why didn't he hoover me? Like, was I not good enough to get hoovered? And so like we had to like break it down. We had to start talking through it and be like, okay, what do you think hoovering means? Well, that he missed me, that he wanted to be with me, that he loves me. Okay, did he love you? Did he show it? And then we had to start diving level by level deep to be able to get to the place where she could see and understand from a factual standpoint, not from his words, not from anything else, but just from, did he show love? Did he act on that love? No, he didn't. So that's actually a lie that you're believing that the narcissist has put around you that started to trap you in that type of bond. That's what I try to do with people whenever we talk through trauma bonds. I mean, a lot of other things, but that's a lot of it is if you can get down to the place where you hear the facts and you hear the truth, you're able to get down to that. Was ever misdiagnosed by a previous therapist? I had one therapist that really tried to shove me in the corner of ADHD. Um, and then in the middle of one of our therapy sessions, it felt like she was gaslighting me because she said, yeah, we went through ADHD and you said that's what you were like the last session. I was like, no, we went through narcissism. And it was after that one session, I was like, I'm done. Like it was weird. ADHD is very typical for people to try to diagnose or go back and forth with ADHD narcissism. I know one guy who's a pretty strong narcissist, but he got tested for ADHD, so he got hit high on that scale. And the therapist was like, if what they say? They were like, if it wasn't for this ADHD test, you'd be a full blown narcissist. I think he actually is, but by his actions. What do they, what do they do things that make you think they do love you? A lot of times that's love bombing. A lot of times that's manipulation. The narc I just broke up with is leaving on December 10th. He's gone from angry to crying. A lot of times that's just another manipulation. If they wanted to change, they would change. Advice on how to handle either before or after he goes. So like while he's there, like if it's just like crying, I almost want to say just like ignore it, but I mean, go like Grey Rock. Don't be responding to his antics. Don't be responding to him raging out to anything like that. Like just, um, if he wants to change, then he needs to change. He needs to understand that. Um, okay. Grey Rocking for 8 months. I mean, that's good. That's probably what's got you to the place where he's actually like willing or thinking about leaving, which is good. Would an art go back to their old home situation, try to recreate their cheating situation? Possibly. I don't know. It's an interesting question. In the middle of a breakup with a narc, but they won't tell their friends we've broken up. Yeah, they don't want to look bad, or they want to wait till it's broken up, and then they can be the victim and be like, "This person left me." Narcs always end the phone call with him crying. Is this a tactic? It could be. He could be a different type of narcissist. I mean, there's different types of narcissists. There's also BPD, things like that. Are they capable of empathy, or is it just an act? My thoughts are slowly changing on that. I think there is a possibility or a thought process that they're capable of empathy, but they shut it down and they're unwilling to acknowledge other people's emotions. But part of that is also from reading the DSM-5. How it reads is actually a little bit different than what mainstream seems to be saying, personally. In the works of changing, being narcissistic. So you think you're narcissistic and you're trying to work on changing it? If so, it can be a really tough road. You got to work on your honesty. You got to work on being real. There's a lot of different things I talk to people about. I'm told, I don't know what the question is. Can a narc build everything with someone else? Because we were together for 4 years and he's giving it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times a narc will like learn. They'll learn a lot of stuff from you and they'll take it to the next relationship and help it last a little bit longer. I personally don't like the silent treatment. I'd rather rage and yell and be like, "Let's fix the problem now," even though I'm like screaming at the other person. But I'm not. I haven't done the silent treatment that much. I think Lee has. I think that was something that he had. But I just not a fan. I'll be at work. No worries. How is it possible they help and support others, but often disrespect and don't care about? I assume you mean like your feelings. No, typically they want to look like a savior to someone else. They want to have someone else like look up to them, give them respect, give them love, attention, whatever it is. Because remember, it's about them. Everything good from the relationship, yeah. I mean, they want to look good and they take just about everything good out of it. No, absolutely. Once again, if you're able to, if you got 1,000 followers on TikTok, request to go live. Would love to talk to you face to face. Either share your story, ask a question. A couple people do it every once in a while. It lasts longer with a new supply, but is the relationship healthier? No, the relationship isn't healthier at all. It's just a new supply. It's just a new person that's going to mess around. So a lot of people, so like two things with that. A lot of people they see the narcissist go to a new relationship, and one they're like, oh my gosh, it's so much better. No, it's not. The thing is, you're on the outside of the love bombing. You're on the outside of him looking good while he's love bombing her. The second thing is in all reality, unless you're getting fed information from other people, you shouldn't know. You know, you should move on and grow with your life. And I'm not saying that callously, like, oh my gosh, like just move on, don't have emotions. Like I'm saying, like, no, like this person was toxic for you, and the fact that you're thinking about them or getting information about them with someone else is not helpful for you. It's not going to help you heal. It's not going to help you grow. Love to make you feel insecure and jealous, and that gives them an excuse to leave. And absolutely. Um, Husband will really mean 1 minute and then fine the next. Later, you won't believe that he was mean. Yeah, a lot of times people disconnect. Some people call it disassociation. I've heard sometimes we're not supposed to call it that just because that's based more on like trauma. But yeah, no, just pull up. If they don't have the capability for empathy, how can they see it in others? Can they see it? So I'm not convinced that they don't have the capability. I'm convinced. I wouldn't say I'm convinced either way. I'm not convinced that they don't have the capability. I think there's at times they do possibly have the capability, but based on the life that they've lived and where they've become, that it's virtually like non-existent or they're not able to tap into it. No, sorry. Nope, you're good. I didn't see it pop up. Let's for a minute. Ignored court taxes over a son tells people, "Hey there,
Hi, how are you?
doing well."
Good. I just
Um,
started following you. I'm like, oh my God, yes.
so I
It's
can't tell from your
true.
username. What's your name?
Amber, the
Amber.
Amby
Okay,
Bambi. Yep.
that's what I was gonna guess. But how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You?
Doing well. So what's going
Yeah.
on?
Nothing much. I'm the one that actually just asked you when with the relationships with the narcissist, basically take everything good from our relationship and give it to somebody else. And you were
Yeah, a
saying,
lot of times. So a lot of times, like a narc will take something that either you've expressed and they've held back from you to try to keep you on their supply,
yeah,
or they'll start to see like, hey, this is something that this person wanted and I kept from them. Maybe if I start using this on the next person, I'll be able to make it last a little bit longer. I'll be able to manipulate it a little bit longer. So like you have a dream of a certain style house or living a certain way, or
hmm,
someone put in the comments earlier like a kid's name, something like that. And they're going to try to fulfill that with the next person, but most of the time it's more or less like a check the box thing. Like I do these type of things and my supply will last longer.
right. And that's so it's just crazy to me. So, because honestly, it's on purpose,
Hmm.
right? I mean, like you guys is you know what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. A lot of times
okay.
in that regard, it is on purpose.
Okay. Because I
It's
don't
more
want to
like
tell my
they're
stuff.
like a sponge a lot of times. They're trying to learn, observe. A lot of narcissists are very observant. They're very, depending on the type of
Very,
narcissist, they're very observant about what's going on. And they
absolutely.
like to use that to advantage. Because a lot of times like knowledge is power. And so they'll use knowledge to be able to control people or to be able to make their mask stay on longer.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. Because that made me think of another question. As far as so, you guys never think with your heart. It's more of just a logical thing.
Most of the time, from what I know, so I know personally, like my personality, like apart from any type of like narcissism, is very logical. I have a very like analytical mindset, which makes me very efficient in different aspects of my job and the work environment because I can look at something and I can look at a process and think, how do I make it better? How do I make it faster? How do I make it
Right.
more efficient? Like that stuff like runs through my mind like super fast kind of thing. But yeah, a lot of narcs are very more like logical, and so some of the things that they come up with doesn't have anything to do with feelings. It's just in their head, kind of thing.
Really? Okay.
Hmm.
So that's why right, having a whole relationship for them with them for 4 years would be just a play,
At
practically.
times, yeah. Hmm.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
there's
Okay.
definitely there's definitely some narcissists out there where they start a relationship, go through it, and it's specifically for a play. There's other narcs that get into a relationship thinking like, hey, this is going to be what's going to save me. This is what's going to be something that's going to help me be a little bit more human, a little bit more normal kind of thing. And then they
Yeah.
get into it and they realize that it's not actually going to do that just because they haven't actually dealt with the actual problem. They haven't dealt with the actual triggers. So I don't, apart from other people out there, I don't think all narcissists are out there just to get somebody out of malicious intent. But there
Absolutely.
there
It's
are those people
trauma,
out there
hurt
as
still.
well.
Right.
Hmm.
Not healing properly or going to a therapist, getting help. Exactly.
Hmm.
Okay. Because I would just say, like, mostly I didn't want to tell too much, but as far as my situation, he definitely left and
Hmm.
was just like, he didn't want to hurt me and he just knew I was young and this and that. And he actually left and got somebody younger and he's giving her everything. It's
Hmm.
just, it's like everything he said, he's practically contradicting. And it's not
Right.
like we were perfect. Nobody's perfect, but we had a wonderful like relationship. It was marriage, and now it's like nothing. You're a nobody. So it's like,
Hmm.
oh, this is, I'm healed
Yeah, a
from it,
lot
but
of
that's why I'm
times they'll
smiling so much.
change. Yeah, a lot of times they'll change their tactic with someone new.
Hmm.
They'll use things that they learned in a previous relationship with somebody new. And it's not uncommon for them to go for someone younger each time because if they go for someone younger, they haven't as much life experience. And normally they can be the hero. They can come in, they can, come in, the other person's impressionistic and they can work on, in one sense, in their mind, almost like shaping and forming the perfect person that's going to like love and adore them.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say he practically did that to me then. I started doing triggers by noticing things because we were very open, but it was like he would tell
Hmm.
me, "Okay, fix this. You need to fix this," and I'll be like, "Okay, I'm gonna fix it," and then we'll come back. He's like, "You did fix it." When I tell him to start, not fixing, you know how you're just in a relationship, and I'll just say adjusting so that it's not,
Right.
just everybody's healthy and happy.
Hmm.
When it was his turn, it's more like, oh, now you're judging me or you want me to change. I don't want you to change, but if this is a relationship, I'm listening to you. I want you to listen to me. It's my
Right.
feelings. So it's just putting a lot of icing on the cake. Like, this is cool. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
No,
So
absolutely.
thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for coming on real quick. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, no problem.
See ya.
See ya. Thank you, Amber.
No problem.
Once again, if anybody else wants to jump on, I do have the guest requests like open up. So feel free to request, and I can bring you on live, either ask a question or share your story or whatever it might be. So, everybody, thanks for Amber coming on. So sometimes it's really brave to be able to come on and share part of you on here. So thank you so much. When you said shaping and forming you into someone else, yeah, that someone they want, yes. So yeah, they want to be able to have, this like perfect person. Some of narcissism is based on them trying to find or build like ideal love or define that, and so they want to try to create someone that's going to give that to them. Do narcissists have certain mannerisms? Not sure that I could say they do or they don't per se. There's different actions, different attributes in one sense, but as far as like specific mannerisms, I think there's a lot of narcissists that are very different out there as well. Why does my ex-narc keep texting me questions he already knows and says just making sure? If he's your ex-narc, it's so he can keep communication. You're still a supply. Unblock and move on. Clean and sober, he was manageable, but on drugs, no reasoning. Yeah, a lot of times they'll use drugs, alcohol to sedate, to not admit who they actually are, what they're actually dealing with. They don't conform the humanity of, yeah, absolutely. He ignored courts over access to our son, and then tells people I stopped him seeing him. Why? That way he can look like he's the victim. You're like it'll make it sound, he can twist it that you pulled him away or something like that. My brother was a narcissist. He manipulated me for 29 years. I feel so free that I can be me. Yeah, no, that's it's a lot. Got love bombed and questioned one thing and you went totally south. Yeah. If you call them out, like a lot of times they'll show their true colors pretty quickly. Do narcs ever think about all the good things the past partners have done for them? No, typically not. They're typically like once they feel like they haven't got what they wanted or whatever, they'll only look at the bad, and that'll be all they can remember. Early on, like Kayla would be like, "Don't you remember like everything good?" And I'll be like, "No, not really. Like I remember like this, I remember this," and it was like always like the bad things or the things that like stuck out as being like the bad. Do they always have supply when you're with them? Narcissist typically is going to have a supply no matter what, whether that's you or whether that's someone else is typically going to be there. Yeah, no, narcissists will often switch it around back to you. Yep. Super intelligent. He has everyone fooled and acts like a victim. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else want to go live? Anybody else want to join for a little bit? Yeah, they try to twist and twist everything around. That's for sure. They want to be the victim. That way they can tell other people the victim. That way they can set up, their next victim. You don't have to be shy. A lot of people on here have been in the same boat. If you got 1,000 people, come on. I don't bite. Why is it bad when you're grade A supply? When you're a grade A supply, it means you're the biggest person getting fooled and abused. Like grade A supply is, you're their drug of choice. Like you're the person that they're abusing the most. You're the person that they're keeping around on tap as their favorite person while they go out and be with other people. Don't be shy. Come online. Do some research on narcissism. Look up the DSM. It's got 9 characteristics of narcissism. You got to have 5 to be diagnosed. So look into that a little bit. You're a grade A supply. Who do you block? I'm not sure your question. You block the narcissist. I want to go live, but I don't want our mutuals to be alerted that I'm live talking about this. Gotcha. I'm a narcissist. So working on bringing awareness on this platform, growth, healing, and change, helping people heal out from their trauma bond, and helping get narcissists into therapy. Chica Bonita, good to see you. Probably been in here in a while, I just haven't noticed. Sorry. Do you feel remorse over the things you've done in the past? So like typically like feeling like remorse. Okay, switched off. Feeling remorse in the past is typically like a quick thing. It's like feeling like shame and guilt really fast, and then it's trying to figure out how to get away from it as fast as possible. So that's why a narc normally will, rage, walk out, leave. Like they'll do whatever they can. They'll turn it back on you. They'll do whatever they can to be able to get away from that feeling of shame because narcs are motivated and drawn a lot of times with shame. Do you think too narcissistic will work? No, not really. Not long term. But yeah. I know there's a couple people out there that can go live. Either ask a question or share your story. Yeah, it's exhausting. It's exhausting being a narcissist. It's exhausting lying. Depending on how many people you're lying to or lying around, you have to keep your story straight. And after a while, they can get really exhausting, really tiring. Um, I look a whole lot different now than I did like 2 years ago, than I did like 4 years ago. I don't think Cluster B's on here. Yeah, her and I talked about doing a live sometime. We're very different, but still struggle with different things. Just because they're honest sometimes doesn't make them a narcissist or not a narcissist. You never know. So like for a good while, like growing up, my parents thought that I was an awful liar. And I used that to my advantage. So when I wanted to get caught in the small lies, I would get caught. Um, that way they would think that I was a bad liar. But then when I needed to lie, I could just lie super fast. What kind of lies do most tell? Just anything and everything. So typically, the biggest one is a live omission. If I tell you I went to the store, that's true. But if I don't tell you I went to the store and met up with somebody, that's the omission that I'm going to leave out. So the best way to lie is to keep it as close to the truth as possible. So a narcissist is typically going to try to lie as best they can, close to the truth. That way they can keep their story straight. That way they can try to have some sanity in doing it, which is just insane. How long do you think a narc can keep a mask up or a new supply? Don't have a concrete answer. A month, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years. So if you completely block them from your life, will they still try to hoover however they can? It's possible, but getting to the place where you block them and there's no way for them to contact you gives you the highest chance of them not contacting you. How do I get him to leave? You leave. They're not going to do it. They don't have the balls to do it. How can I stop loving my narcissist? I'm so attached. Looking at the facts of the relationship and understanding that you're loving someone that doesn't exist, and looking at the facts and understanding that you're loving someone who doesn't love you. That's like a nutshell. But that's when I do one-on-ones with people and I work with them to break the trauma bond, or like the thing I have coming up on December 18th on my website that people can sign up for trauma bond. Like that's some of the stuff we dive into layer by layer, piece by piece of the lies that they put around you. Trauma bonds are really crazy and they're really hard to break. And a narcissist is really good at building a trauma bond. I had someone come at me the other day on YouTube. If you don't follow me on YouTube, please go on Raw Motivations. I've got longer videos on there. Also, you guys are way more supportive than YouTube. There's a lot of people that try to trash me on YouTube, but they were like, you're trying to help. You're trying to help people with trauma bonds, and you build trauma bonds. Be like, yeah, I've built trauma bonds in the past. I'm no longer doing that. I'm trying to help promote growth, healing, and change. I'm trying to help people not be in a trauma bond. For the event Trauma Bond, you have to go to my website to sign up. So it's under my one-on-one section. So rawmotivations.com, you can find it there. Are they unaware that they're making a trauma bond? Somewhat, because some of it's just instinct, but some of them are completely making a trauma bond like on their own. They know if they isolate you, they know if they tell you a bunch of lies, they know you can keep you longer. You probably feel guilty for trying to leave because you have some form of hope in the other person. You have some form of hope that they're going to change. But you have to look at their past actions and see that they haven't changed, and you have to walk away from that. I wouldn't necessarily say proud as far as where I've come, because I feel like I've got like a ton more healing to go through. Um, but yeah, I don't. I mean, what keeps me motivated some days is like I don't want to go back to the shit that I was in. Like I don't want to go back to having multiple affairs, keeping all my lies straight. Like there is, once you get through the awkwardness of telling the truth, you get to the place where you start realizing like, hey, it's a lot less stress. It's a lot less things I have to remember when I'm actually telling the truth. Like I don't have to remember stuff. Like I can tell the truth and then like move on. I don't have to keep my lies straight. Why would a narcissist avoid a person? I need some more context on that. Do they love and miss their children? Typically, no. Typically, children are a form of supply, whether they validate or whether they make the narcissist feel good about themselves because they look up to them. My ex got close to my daughter and still wants to be in her life. What's the strategy? Probably still to control and manipulate you. If they're narcissistic, that would be a ploy. Would my wife leave me if I cheat again? Yes, 100%. That's clearly stated. Tells the new girl that I always assume stuff about him. That's why he left. And you probably just saw the real him. That's why he left. Yes, children often a supply. How do you heal a toxic relationship? If you're not the toxic person, then you can't do the healing. You have to focus on your growth. If the other person isn't willing to heal, then it's not going to happen. Yeah, children are definitely a type of supply. So, I mean, when you think about like kids like looking up to another adult, like another person can, get supply from that. Interesting. The supply told that she was going to use him. I guess he'll get what's coming to him at that point. One of the biggest steps is just like being honest, like getting to the place where I'm honest with what's going on. I'm honest with what I'm thinking, feeling, and getting to the place of knowing that I don't want to go back to that. And so it has to be transparency, it has to be honesty, so that I don't get to the place that I fall into that trap of going back to cheating. Why does he tell me I'm going to regret leaving him? It's a big mistake. Probably to mess with your head. Typically, that's what they do, so you feel like you can't find love or can't find validation from someone else. Have you encouraged other narcissists to come out? Yeah. So my one-on-ones, I do one-on-ones with people, and I talk with people either that are narcissists or I talk to people that are coming out of like a narcissistic abusive relationship. I really talk to both types, and so in the past week, I think I've probably talked to like two different narcissists, and they're actually like saying, "Hey, I resonate with your videos, and I'm looking for help." What action causes the worst narcissistic injury? So I'm not answering that for you to do it, but typically, like a narcissistic injury is when the narc feels utterly betrayed, and that has to be in their mind too. It's not just like a normal betrayal. Sometimes when you get narcissistic thoughts or urges, do you communicate that to your wife? Yes, to a certain degree. Um, Maybe as far as like wanting to do something or like feeling like I want to cheat or something like that, I guess you could say. But like, I don't communicate everything narcissistic because some of that stuff is still in my head that I'm still trying to work through. Some of that wouldn't be helpful to like dump all of that on her. Yeah, narc wants you to feel crazy for sure. So feeling we're toxic extends the relationship because of that. What happens in the narc when they feel betrayed? They just abandon you. Oftentimes, sometimes they do. Did I pull away from the BPD? Oh, yeah, the girl that I cheated on that had BPD. Yeah, I'd pull away from her. She'd pull away from me. It was a push pull, like constantly. She'd do it for drama, I'd do it for supply to get me back, like all this kind of stuff. It was really, really a screwed up thing. Why would my narc husband mess with my head purposely every conversation we have? To be able to avoid accountability and responsibility. So if he can gaslight you and make you feel like you're crazy, then he can control the conversation and he can be right, even if he's completely wrong. But you'll get to the place where you're so confused or so distraught that you'll just give up. Sometimes they seek revenge, sometimes they don't. I mean, that's possible with what Lee says. Like, I don't really know. Typically, narcissists aren't one, as far as even what's in the DSM-5, narcissists aren't typically along lines of like suicide or like murdering other people. If you get on the sociopath side, then yeah, BPD, borderline personality has a little bit more of the self-harm, suicidal thoughts, and things like that. Yeah, narcissists are very confusing when they argue. Like the circular reasoning, the back and forth. There's all. No, too many. It's not necessarily a sensitive topic. Sometimes it's hard to be able to like dive into it because I feel like opening that can of worms would like take us a while to talk about it, which I'm okay with. But then you're like explaining to people like what I'm talking about the whole time of relationship I have with the BPD. Like It was crazy. Yes, you can have narcissism and BPD. You can have both of those traits. So the girl that I was with for a period of time, she was mainly BPD and she definitely had narcissistic traits as well. She had more of the lack of empathy from the narcissist side. Um, but yeah, no, it's a very crazy relationship, and that's why I also understand, I think, a little bit more of the trauma bond than most narcissists do in one sense, because I had a little bit of the trauma bond from the BPD relationship. So we confessed it, and by the time I actually cut her out of my life, it was about 10 months later. That was 10 months of that being out in the open before my wife, before, her sister, before like everything, and 10 months before I actually went no contact. Is it common for them to have a sense of clarity when they catch you on an affair? Um, yeah, trauma bond, definitely need to look into that. Narc in-laws, not necessarily. I think my dad has some narcissistic tendencies. I think Kayla's mom might have a little bit of narcissistic tendencies. But yeah, must make more money than me. Kids of my ex, so it's hard to go no contact. Set up a third party, only communicate through email. There is ways to do it to try to protect yourself. No, I worked with a girl. I worked with a girl who had BPD. So previous job, we worked together and hooked up. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's my AirPods. Sorry, Chrissy. I probably just need to take them off. And if I turn them on, they won't actually connect unless I go out of TikTok. It's on my Christmas list. AirPods, not the new ones, just the old ones. I want to get them so they actually stop cutting out. Being confronting my narcissist is the worst. Yeah, confronting narcissists typically is the worst. So they're typically not gonna listen. A lot of narcissists aren't happy when their wives get pregnant because then the attention isn't on them; it's on something else. Would hanging up on me every day, then goes for hours, be the silent treatment? Maybe the silent treatment. I think you gotta be really careful if you're in a long distance relationship with a narcissist. Like, you're perfect for them, because that means they can keep you on tap on the phone, and then they can go out and be with whoever. So I'd be very careful. Like, a narcissist in a long distance relationship is like perfect. Like, that's literally like a perfect supply for him. What has changed? Everything. Like, me growing, me trying to work on myself, my thoughts, feelings, emotions. A lot of stuff is changing. Absolutely. Hey, if you have 1,000 followers, like, jump on here, go live with me. Either jump on to ask questions or jump on to share some of your story, please. It's a lot more exciting when other people go live than just me talking the whole time. Is it sociopathic if an narc also has a history of animal abuse? I would say yes, because sociopaths have more of the side of enjoying other people's or other things' pain in one sense. But yeah, but it is also like physical abuse from a narcissist is kind of like the next step after like raging, throwing things, hitting things. Like, then you start getting like the more physical abuse. Oh, sweet. People jumped on. Who we got? Let's see. It's okay.
Hello,
Hey there.
how
How
are
are you doing
you?
tonight?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right,
Okay.
there we go. Volume up.
Yeah, I'm not using my AirPods right now because they were messing up. So hopefully the audio comes through okay.
Cool. Mine is working, I guess, so
Okay.
that's good.
Yep. Yep, you're good. So
I
what's your
don't know that
name?
I necessarily have questions. My name's Jama.
Jama?
Yeah,
Awesome. Good to meet you.
yeah, you too. I mean, questions pop up, but I've been learning a lot about all of this, and it's crazy because the most recent one was by far the worst and
Hmm.
possibly even sociopath.
Okay.
But I've started to recognize like my marriage of 15 years, he was also the same in a lot of ways.
Mm.
So it's really been, I guess, uh, hard, obviously, but also good because now I really have to dive deep into all the reasons why I've
Right.
allowed these men in my life. And yeah, that's pretty heart-wrenching.
I think one thing that's hard because it's fairly typical either if someone has been involved with a narcissist or one of their parents were narcissistic, but they didn't turn out necessarily narcissistic, that they will continue that cycle a lot of times of getting involved with another narcissist or another toxic
Right,
person. And sometimes it goes back to like them just looking for that bond or looking for that chaos,
right.
and like trying to find that again because that's like all they know. And that's goes back to the trauma bond. That goes back to the part of, if you're fed enough lies, you'll start to believe it. So then you go looking for that with someone else.
Yeah, and in my case, like, because that was the confusing thing for me. My parents are like, "How did you pick someone like this?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "I don't know." And I have a great relationship with my parents, but there was divorce, there was abandonment, like, there was a
Right.
lot of like feeling completely alone and not emotionally taken care of. I wound up being like the mother pretty much of my little sister during all of the upset of the divorce and all of that.
Okay.
So I became like that nurturing mother type. So I am definitely that person who's like loves everybody and is like, I don't want to believe you're bad and I can help you change. And
Right.
that's what I end up doing. So therefore I overlook red flags
Mm.
all the time and I paid for it. And not that that's my fault, but it's still obviously something I want to prevent to protect my children in the future. I don't want to bring another man like that into my life.
Right. And a lot of times that's what ties us into the love bombing and like the not the love bombing, the trauma bond. That's what ties us into it is just hope. You
Yeah.
want to hope that they're going to change. You want to hope that they're going to get back to the person that you thought they were. And so you keep holding on to that and they'll keep stringing you along, like saying, hey, I'm going to
Hmm.
change. And then they don't. Or, hey, I'm going to go to counseling. And then they don't. All these type of things just to be able to make it last a little bit longer.
Right. Definitely a lot of empty promises. And
Mm-hmm.
my most recent one, he was also physically abusive. So
Okay.
that created the trauma experience to be even greater. Like I have PTSD now in addition to the
Mm-hmm.
CPTSD. And yeah, so like retraining the brain
Right.
is is a challenge.
Right.
For sure a challenge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It could be really difficult to try to get through that because like you're trying to break through a lot of bonds and a lot of lies that's been placed upon you.
Hmm. Big time. And I feel really bad for everyone who's been through it because it's not easy. I mean, I have people reaching out to me all the time for support, and I'm trying to help support them and encourage them and love them at the same time that I'm like trying to do it for myself. But there is something healing about
Mm-hmm.
doing this together.
Right.
So I think it's great that you are self-aware and trying to do the same.
Try and do every single day. So it's
It's good
often a struggle, but it's good to have someone you can talk to. It's good to have, a therapist you can work with for sure.
for sure. That's great.
But yeah,
I'm
awesome.
looking forward to you and your wife doing the thing, though. I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so we're excited about it too. We've been talking about it for a while. She started up her own TikTok a while back. Like she has her own personal one. It's like Kayla Taylor 28, I think. But she started up one that's talking some about narcissism. So it's a hope in the healing that's on
Hmm.
TikTok. But she struggled to keep it going because she had people come on there that would start to berate her for being with a narcissist, or, you know, calling her a narcissist and a bunch of other stuff. And the empath side of her would like die every time she'd like log in and see some of those comments. So she kind of slowed down.
Oh, I'm sure that's tough.
But yeah, that's why I've got several moderators that I've already talked to that are going to be perusing the chat whenever we're going live and shutting down a lot of that stuff if it pops up. So
Yeah, that's good. I think that there's a lot of trolls just for anyone and anything, really. So,
right.
but if
No,
you guys are
absolutely.
working through it, I think that that's, you know, it's a good thing. I mean, and it's not going to work for everybody. I know that statistically speaking, it's very rare that a narcissist is willing to actually do the work to get the help that they need.
Yeah, because they're not willing to be honest. They're not willing to
Yeah.
break the lines and actually get to that spot. Like that's really kind of like the pinnacle of like a narcissist like changing, is just admitting the lies, you know, admitting and getting to a place of like honesty. Like if they're never
Right.
going to do that, then nothing's ever going to change. And
Right.
you know, for me, like getting to that place was like multiple different events, multiple different things that got me to that place. But part of it was, you know, I got tired of the lies. I got tired of the shit that I was living in. And whenever I first confessed it, there was a part of me that thought like, hey, if I confess this, maybe she'll leave. You know, maybe she'll walk out and then I can go be with someone else. I can continue this or whatever. You know, and I got tired of a lot of things.
Yeah, that's good. My ex, he tried. He did try, I think, but it's hard to know because as soon as I realized that I was being gaslit and going through the trauma bond and experiencing all of this even more, then it was like, I'm miserable. And like, what, I don't know what you're doing. Like, I couldn't figure it out. I don't know what you're doing,
Right.
but I can't keep going like this. Well, maybe we should take a break. And I'm like, well, I'm not ready to take a break. I don't want to give up. And so we went through that cycle for a long time. And then finally one day I was like, okay, maybe we should take a break. And 2 weeks later, he had his new supply. And I'm like, oh, ow.
Right.
That was not what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
But, oh, well, I mean, I guess he did me a favor.
I mean, that's one way to find out. The sad thing is most time when they have a supply that fast, they've already like pre-set it up.
Been working it. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm finding that out too.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to get back to work. I just took a break for a second,
Cool.
but thanks for letting me chime in.
Thanks so much for jumping in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. You guys have a good day.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks. You too.
Are you still on here? Let's get this other one in here. Again, anybody else, if you want to go live, either share your story or to ask a question, jump on, hit request. Hey there.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. It's nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you as well.
Really quick, before I forget, one thing I wanted to speak to what the last lady that guested said is she said she didn't want to pick narcissists or pick men like her partner. And I think one of the things I've learned over time is you need to learn that you don't always pick them, they pick you.
Mm-hmm.
And she may have missed that point. So you have to watch out for who's picking you rather than believing it's all on you. So just something that I pulled out of there. And the other thing that I wanted to tell you, and this is an interesting concept that I don't think people think about, especially on TikTok. We all learn from you, from Lee, but people are busy learning what a narc is, what is gaslighting, what is all the things they do. You and Lee are showing us who a narc is. And there's a vast difference, and it's very helpful. So we appreciate that part of you. I think there's too much of what and not enough of who. They get lost in almost dehumanizing you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
so
no,
I think
especially like Lee shared stuff with me. We have a group chat. We probably talk every single day on the group chat, but it's crazy, especially on like YouTube or like Facebook. Like people are like extremely savage and like coming out and calling us demons and like all this kind of stuff, and get pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, my TikTok has a lot of narcissist content. The difference is that rather than educating, there's plenty of wonderful people like you and Stronger Than Before, or whatever, and Lee, that are educating people. So mine, I'll bite with a sense of sarcastic humor, is more about actual events. Like, this is what the narcissist actually did. I'm very careful to make sure I have proof of it all, so I don't have to worry about repercussions.
Right.
But yeah, the crazy making. For example, right now my husband is hoovering me. We're in one of those stages. And he's trying to hoover, and I'm not open to it. And even while he's hoovering, I found out that he was messaging a girl he said he wouldn't message, and stopped by her house twice right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So those are the examples I kind of threw out, so people know not just that they're learning about what a narc is, but what an incident with a narc looks like.
Yeah,
which I
and
think
it's
is
very
also
crazy
important.
how they can disconnect. So like I could disconnect like crazy. You know, I could be in my house with my wife texting someone else and not think anything of it. And like honestly, like one of the things that was really interesting but also good, you know, this Thanksgiving is we went down to South Carolina for Thanksgiving. Both like my parents are there, her mom's down down in South Carolina, and Kayla drove down because I had work, and then I flew down and then drove back with her. And it was like a good different, but it was also weird because she drove down like 2 days before or 3 days before, and it was like really weird coming home and being like, this is not normal, because normally whenever she would leave, I would be texting, calling, getting together with someone. And it was a good weird, but it just felt like different. I was like, this is not the norm of how I've lived like all of my life before. Anytime she was away, that was a time to, you know, go out and be with someone, you know, hide my location, like start FaceTiming
Right.
someone constantly, like everything. And so it was a good thing, but it was just also, it was different. You know, it
So
was
I have two questions that speak to that. I do believe that my husband might be a little bit more on the sociopath side, because he does get abusive and violent. You know, not like
right.
actually hitting me, but he's been borderline physical. So if you were to, so narcissists project, right? And they project their behaviors quite often onto others. If and when you projected that onto your wife, did it make you rage? Even though it was something that you were doing? So, in other words, say my husband is texting other women. He will suddenly accuse me of texting men, and then he will get furious at me and say that I'm a liar and all this stuff. And he
Okay,
would literally,
yeah,
he literally rages at me.
yeah. So I would say I didn't do that as much. I would say I maybe did that like partially or like halfway. But it wasn't something that I did that much. But oftentimes the reason why it would go that direction or it would go that far is trying to be able to turn, you know, just turn it around on the other person so that you can just be on the defensive and you don't have time to be on the offensive. And it'll get so frustrating and so annoying in one sense dealing with that. You'll back off and you'll be like, okay, well, maybe I was crazy for thinking that, or maybe like it is just a friend or like something like that. Anything to be able to push it back towards you. You know, I accused her of cheating. It was more of like in a degrading and half joking way at times, you know, trying to like push that back. I didn't rage as much in that regard, but I can see the correlation really easily.
Yeah. Mine, my husband is seeing a therapist, but not the right kind of therapist, and he's manipulating the therapy. His primary goal with therapy was to get diagnosed with ADHD so he could use that as a crutch excuse for his behaviors.
I feel like a lot of people do that.
Yeah. And so he's working on that, but he's still, as I've spoken to people with ADHD, those don't make you cheat. ADHD doesn't make you a liar. You know, it has more to do with how your brain can handle certain activities. So,
yeah, if anything, I've seen some correlation with ADHD that some people misdiagnose in like areas of like gaslighting or like future faking, where like someone that's ADHD will sometimes look like they're gaslighting or future faking when they have every intention of doing the right thing. They just, how their brain works.
Yeah, they can't stay on it. Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't make them immoral, so to speak. I'm actually have been in a narcissist abuse support group for about 1.5 years. And one of the interesting things about that support group is that over that time, people come and go, on Zoom, there was a lot more people when we were Zooming, and now in person, it's less. But I would say throughout time, maybe 40 people have gone through it that I've actually seen. And of those, maybe 3 were still with their narcissist. And some of them were years or more out. And that bespeaks to how much pain and agony it can cause so many people. So understanding it is huge. The only downfall I see to you and Lee is that if I was earlier in this process, my husband's manipulation would have worked better, because you two give people out there hope. People that are with a narcissist are like, wow, look at you think even now, even though I'm too far gone and there's been too much, too many women, too many lies, and it's still going on, I'm over it. But there's still that little tiny piece that says, what if he could actually see that he was a narcissist and do the work that Ben and Lee are doing. And that's tough for a lot of women that are earlier in the process, I think, out there. So
I definitely can include that more, because I definitely try to show that in a lot of videos of like, get out, leave, run. If they're not willing to put in the work, then you shouldn't be in it. But
yeah, they have to really
I definitely don't want to give false hope to people. That's for sure.
Yeah, they just have to concentrate on those actions. And that doesn't 100%. Just come from you guys. We all have hope over the years. I mean, I wouldn't have still been here if I every time he said, I'm sorry, I'll never do that again, I didn't believe it and have hope. Obviously, this is his 3rd stint with therapy, so I've kind of figured out that manipulation as well. And the other thing to touch on with people is blogging, and I've blogged for 8 years. And journaling, it helps so much.
I can see all your comments, by the way. Good. They're like wondering why they're grayed out, and I'm like, I can see them. I just haven't had a chance to respond to anything.
Yeah, you should probably answer their questions. I love your lives. There's some great interaction and great input. So
well, thank you.
I usually do pop in. I think you and Lee, and Stronger Than Before, she's very direct as well.
I definitely have been getting more direct as I've been getting more comfortable on the platform and comfortable interacting with people.
Well, same here. I've kind of become my own island for that reason. Just, being with a narcissist is tough. And one of the best things TikTok helped me with was, it's my story to tell if I want to. At one point, my husband has seen some of my TikToks and they make him mad. And I'm like, well, stop doing it then. Just stop. I don't even put the dirtiest of the dirt on there, but I won't be one of those that everybody's surprised at the end, like a lot of these poor people are. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thanks so much for jumping on. I appreciate it. It's great to talk to you.
I appreciate it too. And like I said, keep showing people who you are and not just what you are. I think that distinction is fabulous for everyone around. So thanks. I'm off to my daughter's basketball game as well. So enjoyed the talk. Thanks. Nice to meet you, Ben.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good to meet you as well. Absolutely. If you got 1,000 followers, you can click to the guest requests and you can pop up in here. You can ask a question, share your story, anything like that. I don't know how long I'm going to be on here, but that's an option. So if you want to jump on live, just hit the guest request to jump on. All right. I know I missed like 50 comments or more, so I'm sorry if you put questions there and I have not answered them. Put them in again. That's the only option I got. But yeah, she did put out a good comment. Like Lee, myself, like a couple other people out there that are self-aware are the exception, and I'm not here to just give you false hope, because unless they're going to put in the work, unless they're actually going to try to change, unless you see actions that are going to try to change,
they're not going to do anything because they don't care. If they don't care to change, that means they don't care about you. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about anybody. Would narcissists use a person to learn how to look like an empathetic person? Yeah, 100%. Like that's how they learn, by mimicking, by learning from other people. I mean, honestly, there's some things that I've picked up that I can connect slightly more, even like cognitive empathy based on people that I've seen. My wife, like one of my friends, different things like that, being able to see how they have empathy and like how that's supposed to look. So working on the actual love part, because love for me has had to be redefined from being all about myself to actually caring about other people. And that takes away from myself and pride. So it takes a little bit of time to work through that. Why is my narc getting mad when I'm agreeing to the access he's requested with the kids? Probably because he realizes he actually has to be responsible now and actually show up. Why does the narcissistic family take up for him and want me to continue to be with him? Because they're a narcissistic family, they're gonna cover and they're gonna hide their own. I would run, especially if it's like the whole family. Yeah, if it's the whole family, like those are creepy. Those are scary. Relationship with both my parents are like decent, but they're not super connected, I guess you could say. Some of my childhood growing up was like lack of emotional support, and then overbearing parents, over controlling. So I mean, even up until late 20s, early 30s was kind of when I had to have like conversations. And I was like, I didn't think I'd have to have conversations like, you need to back off and let me make my own decisions, and my decisions don't determine or define who you are. Do you feel like narcissist parents could be enablers? Yeah, 100%. So either over controlling or enabling. Overbearing, or enabling. I don't have siblings. How does the first marriage last 10 years, the second one a year, and the third 6 years so far? Really depends on the supply, depends on the person, depends on the mask. Do narcs ever discard without grooming the next supply? Sometimes. I think that'd be more of the rarity. They normally have something going on. Emotional supply, friend supply, work supply. Like there's going to be something. They're not going to go without supply. Like that's going without their drug of choice. Again, if you have 1,000, go ahead and click to jump in my live. Would love to be able to talk to you, interact with you like one-on-one on here. Would love to be able to have you ask questions, share your story. More people are going live, so go live sometime. Never touches you. Did he touch you starting off with? Like, was he affectionate starting off with in the love bombing phase, or has he never been that type of person? Yeah, so that'd be what I would ask, is like if he was that way and then now he's not, or what. Yeah, no, absolutely. Love to do it sometime. Jump on a live. Narc sabotage me and complain about how I'm not doing this and that. Yeah, they'll always try to put the blame back on you. They'll try to blame you for their actions. So if he convinces his new supply to delete their Facebook accounts, takes them off social media, which means he can go be with other people and have any type of social media. Really, it's a way to be able to protect the image, to protect the fact that he's with a new person, or he can go out and be with someone else, and no one's going to catch him online. He can keep them like separate. Do you have regret of what they do? So typically narcs don't regret what they do because they don't think that they're actually like wrong. So she brought it up first. So my wife brought it up first. How it was I was going through like a lot of different things, and got to the place where I was like, something's wrong with me. Like I've my entire life growing up, I haven't cried, I haven't had emotions the same as everybody else. I'm not vulnerable. I keep things to myself. I don't really let people in. Got to a place that we were like talking through, a lot of different things, and then got to the place And I was like, maybe I'm like a sociopath or something. And so we like looked it up, and we were both kind of like, no, not really a sociopath. She was like, maybe you're just a narcissist. And so I looked that up, and I was like, no, I'm not a narcissist. And so I went to other people, got them to validate that I wasn't a narcissist. So I go back and gaslight her and say I wasn't a narcissist. But this seed was kind of there, and for me, I started looking at it, and I started realizing like, no, I actually do match up to basically all the things. All the 9 things with narcissism, and realize it got to a place that once I admitted it, it actually wasn't a bad thing. Like for me, like admitting that I was a narcissist and had extreme narcissistic tendencies in a lot of different areas, for me, getting to the place where I could admit it meant that I had opportunity to be able to change, and I had opportunity to be able to work on it. But if I can't define it, I can't work on it. How are you going to teach your daughter about narcissism as she gets older? Yeah, I'm going to teach her about it, make sure she understands, that she knows. Obviously she'll have access to all this stuff too. I've had people like come at me because they're like, you shouldn't be putting all this stuff out there. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like lie to my kid? Like, no, like they need to understand this so they can avoid this. Narcs want to feel wanted, and so they'll want you to chase after them. Because they want to feel like they're number one, and if someone's chasing after them, they feel like they're number one, like they feel wanted, needed. Yeah, no, absolutely. Anybody else want to jump on live? So typically if I feel guilt, it's slowly changing now, like learning that feelings aren't like a bad thing. They're like pesky and annoying, but like learning that feelings aren't a bad thing, getting to the place of like guilt is normally something that I feel for like an instant and then like hide from it and switch to anger, switch to blaming other people. Like guilt is like a very like quick thing. And the longer I work on being self-aware, hopefully I can understand it and feel it like more in one sense. So that can continue to help my growth. But a lot of times like guilt is like super quick, and then I find a way to be able to shove it to the side, move on. Do they ever regret of letting good supply go? Typically no. Why does a narcissist treat me like I'm his daughter? Probably just a control factor. Did you grow up getting shamed a lot? Not some. I had some like uncles, cousins that did, and that would piss me off. If a narc victim is severely abused, can they act like a narc, especially if the abuse started in childhood? Yeah, they can. I forget the term, but they can pick up on narcissistic traits. They can have reactive abuse. They can, I think it's like narcissistic fleas or something like that. But like they can have like narcissistic attributes. Anybody else want to jump on live? Respond. If a narcissist is more of a physical type, does that mean they're a sociopath? Physical type, like physical abuse? Possibly. I mean, sociopath is not necessarily just about the abuse. It's more or less like they get pleasure from other people's pain. I think that's one of the main characteristics. Children, when they see them for who they are, they either become like them or they realize that that's not how they want to live, and it's really up to the other person in the relationship to help them understand how to process their emotions and feelings, and that can be a big saving grace for them to understand what's going on. But yeah. No, the list of common signs. So just the DSM-5. That's the mainstream psychological book to be able to go through all the different things. And it's cluster B category, BPD, antisocial, NPD, and I forget the other one off the top of my head. But yeah. Physical, but told me I made her do it because I'm a narc and it's reactive abuse. I mean, you don't make someone do anything. How can I start a conversation without causing a flip out? Is it even possible? Typically, it's not possible. And Yeah, it does need to be updated with the research. Typically, it's not possible to be able to talk to a narc without them flipping out. In one sense, if there's a way that you can communicate something that either you're learning or have it be something that they start thinking of, but that doesn't come from you as far as like an attacking way or saying that they're like this, there's a possibility. But I'm not going to out here and say like, hey, this is how you do it, because it's not always consistent. How do you know if a narcissist is being sincere? If you see consistent change and openness and vulnerability. If they're not honest, they're not sincere. Teaching your teenage daughters about their narc dad. Be honest. Don't hide your feelings and emotions. Like getting to the place, like you can't use your kids for like emotional support or emotional supplies. That's where you have therapy. That's where you have friends. That's where you have other people in there. But really, you do have to be honest with your kids. You have to make sure that they understand you have emotions, you have good days, you have bad days, and you shouldn't hide that from them. You shouldn't put them at a place where they get this subliminal message from you that it's not safe to be able to share my emotions. It's not safe to be having a bad day. It's not safe to be feeling this way. And they need to understand that you're a safe place, that you're providing like safety and security where they can come to you and they can share anything and everything that they're going through, and you're not going to judge, devalue, or judge or devalue them. What did you say? How long did you think you had a problem before seeking help? I always thought I was like different. So like a lot of my life, I thought I was different. Just thought it was that I was driven and didn't connect with people. But like otherwise, I got to the place where I was, what am I thinking? I got to the place where I finally started like admitting about narcissism and thinking about it. And then it took, I don't know, almost like a year before I actually would go to therapy or like get into it. I made a lot of promises along the way. What would I say now to my past self? Stop fucking lying. That's really all it is. My narc's new supply is an addiction therapist. She says she'll try to change him. She seems kind. Yeah, she's probably a sucker. My ex-narc is isolated my daughter and turned her against me. Sorry to hear that. Do you love bomb? Is that a common thing? Yeah, that's common. Common. I've done that for sure. Yeah, a lot of narcs are intelligent. Some are like really stupid. Some are awful with lying. Some of them are really stupid. Not gonna lie. But yeah, I moved up quickly in the careers that I had. So I was with Chick-fil-A for 10 years. I ran different Chick-fil-A's. I got contracted out to go to different Chick-fil-A's to run their drive-thrus and to show people how to do it. So I'd go in and I'd take stores from doing 97 cars an hour to like 200 cars an hour. Could really work with a lot of people, show them how to improve. Analytical mindset definitely helps with that. Why won't he leave me alone? Now that he lost his job, we've been divorced 2 years and I have custody. If you have custody, if there's a way to make sure that there's no contact block so he can't get a hold of you, because otherwise he'll keep coming back. He wants that control. Narcissists would never ask if they are one, so you're probably safe. I'm not sure what you're asking there, but my ex sent me texts he meant for someone else. It really showed. Yeah, like sometimes they can be really dumb. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming in. Besides like lying, manipulating, cheating, hurting. Sometimes the narc's goal with ghosting might be to like protect themselves, protect them image. Sometimes they might have found someone else. They're just like, I'm gonna go be with someone else. There's not a consistent thing. A lot of times they'll get to the place where they're just done and they don't really care anymore. So they'll go find someone else and ghost the first person. Why they always pull that I'm depressed card whenever I try to leave? That way you don't leave. That way you be like, oh no, don't be depressed. I'll come help you. Like, no, you're not going to help them. They're just manipulating you. Yeah, they only care about themselves. My narc goes to hide a new supply. Yep. Pretend to be fishing for months. Yeah. Yeah, they manipulate people into staying. Again, if you're on here and you have 1,000 followers, click to go live with me. I've got the guest requests open so you can jump on a live with me. Either come on and ask questions or come on and share some of your story. Would love to talk to you guys like face to face. I think we've already had like 3 people that have already jumped on tonight. So would love to have someone else jump on if you guys are open or willing to it. Will they ever stay with the next supply for a long time just to prove to you? Yeah. They might do it to prove to you, or they might do it because they've learned, how to hide a little bit better. They're going to do whatever they can to keep the supply. Never caught him cheating, but I told him I thought he had a secret life, and he got defensive. Got defensive because you started calling him out on something. Awesome. That's good to hear. Stay strong, because it's really hard once. It's hard being in it. It's hard leaving, but sometimes it's even harder the silence after leaving, because at times that's the trauma bond kicking in even more. Then you're not sure like what to do. Does therapy help all narcs? No, because sometimes they go to therapy and they just manipulate. And they just control. Why they try to tell you not to wear makeup or dress up? Well, yeah, it is control, but like if they can control your appearance, control like how you look to the world, they'll get to the place where you only go to them for validation. That's like a It's like a 1-sentence answer to like a 5-page answer. Sorry. They don't want to be without supply, so like that's like an addiction, an obsession. So they're normally going to have another supply lined up or want to be with someone, that way they feel validated. Interested in the kid's school. When you have custody, is probably another way to get to you, another way to control you, mess with you. Told nurse says he needs therapy, laugh in your face. Yeah. A lot of them don't think they need anything. They're self-sufficient. Absolutely. Y'all have like a lot of good questions. Hopefully this is like helpful, like talking through some of this stuff. Yeah, I don't think a narcissist can change without therapy, without honesty. So my supply used to be like cheating, used to be being with other people, carrying on other relationships, emotional affairs, things like that. That was like one of my biggest areas of supply. Aging narcs without supply normally just become grumpy old single people. It's always hard just to admit that someone hurt them instead of bleeding on others. I'm not sure what you're asking there. It's hard for a narcissist to admit. You should just be able to hit the request to join live. If you don't have 1,000 followers, TikTok won't let you. That's like the annoying part. Yeah, it's definitely like a big hit from cheating. It's like an adrenaline rush as far as like being able to sneak around, fool people. Becky, maybe some other time, or maybe sometime on Instagram. Instagram doesn't have that stipulation. It's kind of annoying. You got this. Yeah. I'm getting hungry. How do you get them quit using the kids to hurt you besides Grey Rock? If you have access to the kids, like being honest with them, helping them like understand their emotions, feelings can be big so they can start seeing the lies as well. Hey Lee, how's it going? You want to jump on? I don't know if you saw my message earlier. I was like, I'm bored. Anybody want to go live? But I didn't hear back. Heather was like, I can later. Oh, you're good. How will a narc react to an order of protection against them? A lot of times they'll view that as like a boundary, and that's a nap. It's almost bedtime, right? A lot of times they'll view that as like wanting having a boundary, and narcissists like hate boundaries. Like they want to be able to break those. They want to be able to walk right up to it, get as close as they can to a boundary, step over it, or I guess you could say like an ultimate win for a narcissist is when they walk up to your boundary and they get you to break it. That's like the ultimate like win because they've just fooled you, gaslit you, manipulated you enough to break your own boundary. He'd always tell me if I were to fix myself, then all the problems would go away. Yeah, I mean, he's going to blame it on you. He's going to try to get you to be the cause of all of his problems, all of his issues. Yep, they're above rules. They don't hold themselves accountable. Why do narcs view their ex with another partner after the marriage? How they view? Is your wife upset that you're on social media all the time? I'm not necessarily on all the time. A lot of times I record not my lives. A lot of times I record my stuff in like bulk and then like throw it up. A lot of it's like cognitive empathy. Trying to learn more about empathy as we go. Should I be fearful of him coming around after the order of protection? I think you should be careful. I mean, you know your narcissist better than I do as far as like if they've been abusive physically, like if they would do that, if they're on the sociopath side, I would say be careful about that. A narcissist exposed them at family therapy. I mean, they're probably going to try to rewrite it. Narcissist and religion. Depends on what you want to hear about that. So I've got a lot of thoughts about narcissists and religion, partly because of that's been in my background. So I am a Christian. That's something that I've had to work through as well. Narcs like to hoover around the holidays because who's going to be mean around the holidays? Like all the empaths, all the nice people, like they're not going to say no to someone reaching out. I mean, it's the holidays. Why wouldn't? So it's like a prime time to be able to hoover someone back. Is there a correlation between substance abuse and narcissism? No, there's a correlation between narcissists sedating and having addictions. And so they'll go to anything they can to sedate themselves and to make them feel better about themselves. So my wife is coming live with me next week. So next Thursday the 9th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want a reminder, you can go on my profile. It's set as a live event so people remember. Why is my ex-narc coming after my new partner? Control, manipulation, get in your head, be able to mess with you. Yeah, so a lot of narcissists will have like a God complex. That's why a lot of narcissists like don't believe in God, or they're just completely fake when it comes to their religion, or they're just like narcissists oftentimes do have a God complex. Like I'm the God of my universe. I'm like the biggest person in my universe. So as a result, like God doesn't fit into that. I want to be above like the morals. I want to be above like everything else. So as a result, I put myself above God so I can do whatever I want and not have those consequences. I think there's a lot of people in Christianity that are narcissists and they use God as an excuse for what they do. Sorry. Kayla's texting me. They use God as like an excuse. Sometimes that's why it's like very, I say it's like a really not a good idea to go to counseling with a narcissist because they're going to manipulate and everything. But oftentimes it's even more of an idea not to go to counseling with a Christian therapist because a lot of the concepts in the Bible, a lot of Christian concepts on narcissists is perfect grounds of them taking that ammo and throwing it back at you. Like, well, you need to respect me, you know, you don't have to respect your abuser. Well, you need to love me better. You need to, give me sex. Like, no, that's taking a lot of stuff out of context. some act like they have a relationship with God to manipulate. Yeah, 100%. Like they'll act like they have a relationship with God. They'll act like they're a Christian. So let me tell you this: like a narcissist that's a full blown acting like a narcissist is not a Christian. Just say that right then and there. They don't have a relationship with God, because if they had a relationship with God, they would be living differently. That's what a Christian is. They're living as like a little Christ, a changed life. If they're not living a changed life, then they're not a Christian. Period. A lot of times people don't like to hear that, but I don't really care. You can't think of it this way. You can't have an interaction or a relationship with someone who has created the entire universe and has that capability and not be changed. You can't. And so the people that tout Christianity and tout God and use that and then go back to abuse those people, they're not Christians. They're just hypocrites. And that's why a lot of people don't like the church. That's why a lot of people don't like Christianity, because they see a lot of hypocrisy in there. There's hypocrisy everywhere. I mean, no offense, but people put a big bullet on the church when it's everywhere. But makes sense. I get it. You said you're a narcissist, so are you living a changed life? I am now, because I'm embracing the lies that I've had, and I'm working on being honest every single day. And that sometimes is really hard. But yeah, that is the growth, that is the process, that is the therapy, that is everything that I'm going through. He's changed, but he's messed up my mind so bad. Now I think he's always cheating when he's not. I mean, it's hard to know. Yeah, someone can't say they're a Christian and go out and abuse people. Like it doesn't work. Like you can't say you're in the health profession and you want to save people and then you go out and murder people. Like it's just an oxymoron. But everybody wants to tie Christianity to different things. Everybody wants to tout Christianity and say like, oh, like my narcissist was a Christian and he abused me and now I have a bad perspective of Christianity. You'd be like, no, your narcissist wasn't a Christian. He was just a liar, manipulative person. But a lot of people get strong opinions about it. I mean, I have strong opinions about it. No, it's just fine. Do you think for the relationship to work, they have to go to therapy? Yes. If they're not willing to grow and change themselves, it's not going to work. If they're not willing to get honest about their lies, it's not going to work. Here to hear my opinions. Yeah, no, I mean, I've got a lot of opinions. So, I mean, like, you know, other people might ask, be like, okay, well, were you a Christian? Did you have a relationship with God, you know, when you were doing all these things? You know, I thought I did, but I was filled with lies, and I was filled with a lot of things that, you know, I would just use to justify what I was doing, justify what I was thinking. But was I a Christian? You know, did I have a relationship with God when I was doing all these things? Like, no, I don't think so. I don't have a date and time that I, like, believed in God. I was brought up in the church. I was brought up with parents that were Christians. But I don't think I actually started changing or was affected by it until later on in life. Yeah, most don't have any desire to change. Most narcissists don't want to change. Professing, yeah, but not believing. Is there any part of your narcissism you like? No, I don't think so. Do you have any advice? You've posted that a couple times. Where is it? Trying to get out of a trauma bond with my soon-to-be ex-narc. Learn to deal with the facts, break the lies one by one, because they're going to put lies around you. Why do narcissists lie? He would lie about even the dumbest things. It becomes an automatic response. It becomes a habit. It becomes an addiction. What love looks like for narcissists is when someone's serving them. Do you ever get tired of consistent chaos? They get exhausted by it, but they don't get tired of it because they're in control of the chaos. He gains from messing with your head. He gains from the possibility of opening up contact, or you opening up contact, and then he's one in that aspect. If he has access to your social media, you need to block him, because otherwise you're going to be second guessing, wondering, doubting. You need to block him. Did they ever really love anyone? Yeah, themselves. That's who they're all about. They're still trying to control you. They're still trying to manipulate you. So that's why they're going to keep dragging you to court. They'll keep trying to do something to be able to control. They'll change the story. They'll rewrite. Rewriting is big. So they'll rewrite their story. That way they can feel better about themselves. That way they can change the outlook of the story with someone else. They're masters at rewriting. It's like reverse gaslighting. Like they're changing the past versus just telling you about it. They're actually changing it in their mind, changing it to other people. X got a new supply. Told me, oh, okay, I lost the comment. It disappeared. Yeah, no. I mean, there's like a lot of good comments. I'm like, do narcissists get dementia? I think that you have, maybe dementia is not the right word, but I do think they get gaps. I have gaps. I think some of that is like self-inflicted. I think some of that is based on all the lies trying to keep straight. If you rewrite your history so much, you start to forget what the original history was. Yeah, I think a lot of narcissists would make really good lawyers. Because they can argue and like defeat a lot of arguments with illogic. Getting older makes it more difficult to keep the lies together and hidden. Yeah, or they just don't care. Gaps or blocked out memories, yeah. Do they have standards versus apply? Just anyone they get. Anyone that's going to adore them, treat them like a king, that'll serve them. I mean, it works. They don't have to be cute, ugly, skinny, fat. Doesn't matter. It just matters that they feed their supply. Mm-hmm. I know, I've been asking for live guests, but no one else has popped on. I don't know, I gotta see what's going on. I might be heading off here soon. Yeah, it's hard to keep the lies straight. Do narcs ever feel remorse or anything? Typically no, because they don't think they've done anything wrong. Do you ever have a substance abuse issue to use as a coping mechanism? I've struggled with different like addictions, but not necessarily substance abuse. I know I have a very obsessive personality, so I've known that for a while. So I stay away from drinking, stay away from drugs, all that kind of stuff. What did you ask? Do all narcissists make it seem on social media like their lives and relationships are perfect? Yeah, definitely. I mean, narcissists aren't going to be honest. Like, they're just going to show you the fake reality that they've built or the fake reality that they're living in. So they're going to try to look as perfect as what they think they are. Someone who thinks they're a narc but not diagnosed. Stop lying, get into therapy, work on yourself. Do narcissists have intrusive thoughts? I don't know what to think about that question. Sorry. As the saying goes, with the lies, you have to remember them. The truth, you don't. Yeah, like, it's a lot easier telling the truth. You don't have to, like, remember all this stuff. They create false self, 100%. It's really hard to diagnose, like, NPD, so a lot of people shy away from it. Officially, if you look at the DSM-5, it says if you have 5 of the 9 characteristics, then you could be narcissistic. What is getting dropped in there? Someone's dropping something in here. Probably doesn't need to be in here. Can narc heal by meditating? I think they can heal by therapy, and meditation would help, but I don't think they're going to heal on their own. cool. Thank you. Do you post anywhere explaining how you became a narcissist? I don't have a ton of it. I do have some videos, I think, on it, but just overbearing parents, over controlling, lack of emotional support was definitely like a part of it. I think narcs can heal, but they have to get to the place where they're willing to admit their lies. Talk therapy, especially with someone who deals with narcissism, especially who deals with like toxic people, trauma, things like that, to be able to acknowledge it, see it. Inner dialogue, sometimes it's harassing me, not always. It kind of depends on the day. Ex-narc bought tickets to a place he knew I'd be in, kept walking by, but didn't engage. Probably trying to mess with your head or make you reach out and make contact. And he's like, oh, this person wants me. Oh, this person still thinks about me. Yeah, keep the boundaries. How do narcs feel about their children? I've read that they view them as... It moved. Where'd it go? Extensions of themselves. Yeah, extension of themselves. I can see that to some degree. But more or less, like, they get supply out of it. They get supply out of another person looking up to them or whatever. A lot of times narcissists don't care at all about someone else. Like, why would they go to prostitutes? Like, that's easy supply. Something that makes you feel good. It's a way to sedate yourself. What happens if a new supply is also narc? It means it'll be a very toxic relationship. Envy can be. My ex was a narcissist to his kids. Yeah, 100%. Do narcs want old supply to stay in their lives forever? Yeah, if they can control and manipulate, then yeah, 100%. Lots of healing. It takes a while. How would you describe the feeling of supply? Validation. It like, I guess you could say it like affirms the feeling of being like the number one person. No, narcissists typically aren't happy at all. Who are these people dropping in here? Like, all right, you gone. Whoever these people are. If you go full no contact completely, does the narc eventually stop and give up? I can't say yes and then it not be there. Like I can't say yes and that not be the answer, but I would say if you go full no contact ghosting, you have the highest chance or highest opportunity that'll work out. If you guys see some in here that are just dropping stuff, like feel free to block or whatever it is to kick them out. That's fine. Why cause so much chaos? Because if I cause the chaos, I'm in control of it. And believe it or not, being in control of the chaos is actually more affirming because I'm in control of it versus actually having to admit that I'm doing something wrong. It's a lot easier if I'm controlling it than if I'm like losing my train of thought of how to be able to explain that. But yeah, so like after coming out and like starting to confess the lies and dealing the truth and things like that, like that's where it got to the place where it did feel weird. I was like, the chaos isn't here. Like this feels really like weird. Narcissist tries to break in your house so you're still in a relationship. Like definitely sounds obsessive and like sociopath in one sense. He wants to believe that he's the victim of lies. He wants to. A lot of them will believe it because they've lied to themselves so much. It's a common misconception you come across about narc abuse relationships. I'm sorry, but that seems like such a giant general question. I think it's a good question. I just don't know what track to go off of with that. I'm sorry. Do they really not care, or do they force themselves not to care? No, typically they don't care because they're so full of themselves they can only care about themselves. Do they not pay rent or make excuses for months about not paying? Yeah, a lot of times they do. A lot of times they take advantage of people financially. If they have to go somewhere alone, they have to be with themselves alone. They'd rather have supply. They'd rather have someone else be with them. What do you think of X getting in contact with new supply? I was tempted to, but didn't. So here's the thing. Like, if the new supply is someone that, like, cheated with him on you, then, like, don't do it because they don't have the morals to actually like have the brains to even think through that. But if it's like someone that's completely different, or someone that like that they're going or trying to get someone else, like maybe let them know. I think the biggest thing, I've done a couple of videos, like if you know of a person who is getting cheated on and they don't know and you haven't said anything, shame on you. So that's different than like telling like an ex's supply that's cheated on you with him. Like, I'm not saying that, but like if you know of someone that's getting cheated on and you don't say anything, you should. And a lot of people are like, oh, like, I don't know, that's not my business. No, my wife wished that the friends around her that knew wish that they would have told her. Yeah, you realize really quick who your friends are. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would want to know. And there's some people on here that are like, it's none of your business. And like, I've never had the chance to ask somebody, but I want to be able to ask, like, have you actually gotten cheated on, or you just don't realize that you're getting cheated on? Because like, if people have been through it, like they wish that people would have told them. Yeah, 100%. I mean, as long as you're not putting yourself in a unsafe situation, I think it doesn't hurt to be able to let the other person know, at least to some aspect. If anything, like some of the comments on some of my videos was, at least you've planted a seed, at least you've done your part, at least you can say like you've washed your hands of it, you've communicated what you can. 100%. Yeah, a lot of people don't want to know. They don't want to know the truth because, again, lies are a lot easier than reality a lot of times. Yeah, narcissists feel. They have emotions. They don't know what to do with them. They don't know how to work through them. But they do feel. Why do I feel the need to go back? It's called a trauma bond. It's going to keep pulling you back until you look and face the facts and the truth of the situation, realize that he didn't care and that his actions didn't show true love. Do narcs show the behavior even when single? Yeah, they'll show it with other people. They'll find other supply. Yeah, you don't want to know the truth. I mean, you don't want to admit the truth. You don't want to admit, like, that's embarrassing that this person's been cheating on you and you didn't know about it. Or you don't want to know the truth because that's going to completely shake up your life or, like, hurt. And that's the hard part. It's easier to live in a lie then than it is to actually admit the truth. But yeah, that's what I've been working with people on one-on-ones. So if you guys haven't, or if you're interested, so a couple of things, like follow me on YouTube. So YouTube is definitely a lot more heated sometimes than on here. People aren't as nice on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube. I've got longer videos on there. So just look up Raw Motivations. Would love to have you guys follow me as I try to work on some longer content, longer videos there. If you guys are interested in talking one-on-one, go onto my website, rawmotivations.com. Click on my link in my bio. I do have an event coming up on the 18th this month. That's going to be going through Trauma Bond and Trauma Bond Workshop, and really have 9 spots left for people to be able to jump in on that and kind of work through Zoom calls, like one-on-one in kind of like a group setting, of how to break the trauma bond and trying to work through that to try to provide healing and hope to other people as they try to get out of those trauma bonds. What was the last thing I was going to say? Oh, next week, Thursday, 12/9. So the 9th, I already put up a thing about it, but you can click on, it's underneath my profile. My wife and I are going to be going live. So feel free to jump on next Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Be able to find us on there. Be able to hear something from her perspective. If you come back that week, come with questions, come with thoughts, come with positivity, because she's an empath, so all the negative stuff isn't really going to be tolerated that day. Just because like it's hard for her, especially when people like come at her or yell at her saying like, "Oh, you should be leaving." Be like, "No, it's actually working on change." But anyways, that's coming up on Thursday, 8:30, December 18th, Trauma Bond Workshop. If you want to sign up with that, Raw Motivations, go to my website, one-on-one, rawmotivations.com, the one-on-ones, if you want to schedule a time for us to talk, and either work through Trauma Bond, or you feel like you're struggling with narcissism, different things like that. So, anyways, I'm going to jump off, head out, try to get some supper. So thank you all so much. Appreciate it. So thanks for a couple people that jumped on. I know some of them aren't on here anymore, but we'll look forward to see you guys this coming week. So I'll probably do a live sometime randomly. I'm not going to announce it or anything, but I'll probably do a live sometime before then because I've got some equipment coming in because I'm going to try to kind of have us mic'd up a little bit to make sure everybody can hear us okay, because we're going to be trying to stream it on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok all at the same time. So I'll probably do that within the next couple of days once stuff comes in. Anyways, y'all have been great. Thank you for putting up with me and asking a bunch of questions and trying to get there. If you have questions, follow me, ask questions on my videos. A lot of times if I like your question, I'm not able to go through all the comments, but sometimes if I like your question, it normally means that I'm grabbing it to do a video. The problem is I have so many right now ready to go. I try not to drop them all at once because then they get like lost. But right now I've got like 105 drafts that are all done, recorded, and they're ready to drop. I just don't drop them all at once kind of thing. Anyways, I keep saying I'm leaving, but I am leaving. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you all tuning in. We'll talk to you guys later.